Next item.
Madam Mayor and Council, next item is oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Council may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. City manager may refer the matter to the appropriate department for an investigation and a report.
Okay, let's give those folks a chance to, could we maybe take this celebration outside? Thank you. Hello, Mr. Mohill? Mr. Mohill? Mr. Mohill? We have to commence with our meeting. Thank you. First speaker will be Charles Mai, followed by Kathy Mazoka. I hope I pronounced that.
Okay. Honorable Mayor and the City Council members of the great city of Glendale, I'm here to represent Chinese American Citizens Alliance, Greater San Gabriel Valley chapter, to support Korean American community on the issue of comfort women. First of all, from the bottom of my heart, I applaud your gallant effort in getting the Comfort Women statue erected and kept here at Central Park, amidst all sorts of outside pressures not to. Now, the United States stands for human dignity. United States champions human rights. This Comfort Women statue symbolizes both human rights and human dignity. Now, just a few weeks ago, we, Chinese Americans from here and from San Diego, together came to pay homage to this statue. And we are proud to pay respect to the statue and what it represents. The sufferings of not only the 200,000 Korean comfort women, but also of as many as like 600,000 comfort women worldwide, including also the Chinese, Filipino, Dutch, Malaysian, Singaporean, Indonesian, and Vietnamese. It is the people, from the statue, it is the people's voice that speaks. And the government agreements oftentimes have little to do with common people's voices. In fact, I think this statue should belong to all people, we Americans included. Now, the Chinese American Citizen Alliance, for which I represent, always stands in solidarity with the Korean American community in demanding a proper reparation from the Japanese government for subjecting hundreds of thousands of Asian women to sexual slavery during World War II. Now, for decades after the war, Japan was able to evade its post-war responsibility due to a confluence of factors. Now, there were the Cold War, there were the two civil wars that divided China, and then Korea. And Japanese, and also Japanese insensitivities to other Asians, and its very clever strategic leveraging strategic needs among its allies. The victim countries, including China, were often too weak to seek apology and compensation because of the immense Japanese political clout as an economic and industrial power at the time. Now, from all indications, the recent quote-unquote agreement between the government of the Republic of Korea and the Abe Japanese government was reached under enormous pressures exerted on them to reach a resolution on the comfort women issue amid rising international tensions in the Northeast Asia region. So as a result, in reaching this joint announcement by the two governments, the rightful demands of the comfort women for a proper apology and compensation were all but ignored. Furthermore, the sincerity of the apology of the Japanese government as expressed in the announcement is cast in grave doubt by the subsequent backtracking of and continuous denial of Japanese high officials, the leveraging of compensation payment on the removal of the comfort women's statue in Seoul, and the continuing whitewashing of the atrocious deeds of the Japanese Imperial Army in its school textbooks, just like what they did to the 1938 rape of Nanking in China. So the comfort women issue is far from over, in our view. It is not over until the Japanese government truly faces up to its role in forcing these women into sexual servitude during the war.
Thank you.
And from the bottom of its heart. Okay, just one last sentence.
Of course.
Okay, so honorable ladies and gentlemen of the Glendale City Council, on behalf of CACA and the Chinese American community, I urge you strongly to not declare the comfort women issue as permanently and irrevocably settled by this recent agreement between ROK and Japanese government. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mai. Kathy Mazoka, followed by Tamara Movsesian.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Kathy Mazoka, and I'm co-chair of the Nikkei for Civil Rights and Redress, NCRR. And our organization was formed in 1980 to fight specifically for redress and reparations for Japanese Americans, over 110,000 that were incarcerated in camps during World War II, who lost their rights and their freedom during that time. And we supported the comfort women issue, and we support their demands for reparations and an apology. And we do that for many reasons. I was part of the campaign to fight for redress since 1980 and have continued to support other groups who have been discriminated against. And I think one of the reasons is that as a community, we realize our responsibility to stand up for others who face similar discrimination and who, also were losing their freedoms and today in terms of American Muslims as well. But our campaign was a grassroots campaign that involved many people, and our community really stood up and fought. And I think that in terms of the Korean and the other comfort women in Asia, not just the Koreans, but I met Grandma Lee, and I was very moved by her. And for our community, winning redress was a long battle. It took 10 years. And it took a long time to even get the payments to the community. Most of the first generation were gone. But for them, the Issei, the first generation, the apology was so meaningful. The $20,000 by that time, because most of them were in their 80s or 90s, was not going to really help them that much. And so I see the comfort women today who are in their 80s and 90s in the same way as our first generation. They are facing the last years of their life. The apology is very, very meaningful. The agreement between Japan and Korea was not an agreement that should have happened in that way. And I commend actually the City Council here for what you did with the statue and for also maintaining today your position that that agreement doesn't change anything. The agreement really should have been between the Japanese government and all of the comfort women, and that's what should have happened. They should have been included in that discussion, and they should have received a direct apology and direct reparations. For the Japanese government and the Korean government to resolve this between themselves makes no sense at all. Our position is that it's between the Japanese government and all the women. It's an issue between them. And for us, the direct apology, the direct reparations was the most important thing. And we'll look to the fact that our government was able to do that, was able to use this as a lesson, we hope, for others in our country as well, that this can never happen again, and that it's also a lesson for the rest of the world. And we hope that Japan will take that to heart. I am Japanese American. I am not speaking, it's not unusual or should be strange that we would be speaking in support of the comfort women. It's an international issue. It's a human rights issue. It's a woman's issue. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. And I'm not against the Japanese government or the Japanese people, of course, but the Japanese government must take responsibility, and then we're able to move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Masoka. I appreciate your advocacy and your kindness.